the decision that changed everything overnight. Some decisions take years to make. Others take just one moment, 1 second where everything shifts, where the life you know quietly disappears. And the worst part? You don't even realize it's happening, not until it's too late. This is the story of a decision that changed everything overnight. His name was Ethan Blake. To most people, Ethan was invisible, not in a literal sense, but in the way the world overlooks ordinary people. He worked a quiet office job, lived in a small apartment, followed routines so predictable they almost felt scripted. Wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat, day after day. Nothing extraordinary, nothing memorable. But inside, Ethan was tired, not physically, mentally, emotionally, tired of watching life pass him by like he was just a background character in someone else's story. He had dreams once, big ones, but somewhere along the way, he stopped chasing them, because chasing dreams comes with risk. And Ethan, he chose safety. Until the night everything changed. It was a Friday. Rain tapped softly against his window. The city outside blurred into reflections of neon lights and passing cars. Ethan sat alone, staring at his laptop. An email. Subject line: final reminder, opportunity expires tonight. He had seen it before, ignored it, avoided it. But tonight, it felt different. The email was simple. A startup opportunity, high risk, uncertain future. But if it worked, everything could change. Financial freedom, a new life. A chance to finally become someone instead of just existing. There was only one problem. To join, he had to quit his job. Immediately. No backup plan. No safety net. Just a decision. Ethan leaned back in his chair. His mind raced. What if it fails? What if I lose everything? What if I regret it? The questions came fast, relentless. Because that's what fear does. It protects you by holding you back. His phone buzzed. A message from his boss. Don't forget Monday's report. Ethan stared at it. Monday. Another week. Another cycle. Another version of the same life. Repeating endlessly. And suddenly, he felt it. That quiet voice inside him. The one he had ignored for years. Is this really the life you want? Silence filled the room. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Honest. Ethan stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the city. Millions of people, living millions of different lives. Some chasing dreams, some running from them. And then there was him, standing still, waiting. For what? Permission? Guarantees? Life doesn't give those. It only gives moments. Moments where you choose. And that night, Ethan was standing in one. He walked back to his laptop. The cursor blinked on the screen. Accept offer. Or close the tab and go back to normal. Safe. Predictable. Unchanged. His hand hovered over the trackpad, heart racing, breathing uneven. This wasn't just a decision. It was a risk. A leap. A line between who he was and who he could become. He thought about his past, all the chances he didn't take, all the risks he avoided, all the what-ifs that never got answers. And suddenly, he was tired of wondering. So, he clicked. That was it. No dramatic sound, no instant change, just a click. And yet, everything had changed. He closed his laptop, sat in silence, waiting to feel something. Fear, excitement, regret. But instead, he felt calm. For the first time in years. Because no matter what happened next, he had finally made a choice. Not out of fear, but out of courage. He went to bed that night unsure of the future, but certain of one thing: tomorrow would not be the same. The next morning, reality hit. Hard. No alarm for work, no emails, no routine, just silence. And the weight of what he had done. Ethan sat on the edge of his bed. For a moment, doubt crept in. What did I just do? But it was too late. The decision had been made. And decisions? They don't come with undo buttons. The first few days were chaos. Learning, adjusting, struggling. The startup wasn't glamorous, it was messy, uncertain. Nothing like the polished idea he had imagined. Long hours, no guarantees, and worst of all, no immediate success. Weeks passed. Then months. Savings started to shrink. Pressure started to build. Friends questioned him. Are you sure this was the right move? You had a stable job. Why risk everything? Ethan didn't always have answers. Because sometimes, courage feels a lot like doubt. Especially when things aren't working. There were nights he almost gave up. Nights where he stared at job listings, thinking about going back. Back to safety. Back to certainty. Back to the life he left behind. But something stopped him. That same voice. You didn't come this far to go back. So he kept going, not because it was easy, but because he had already chosen. And quitting would mean that decision meant nothing. Then one day, something shifted. A small win. Then another. Then momentum. The work started paying off. Slowly. Then suddenly, clients came in. Opportunities grew. The same risk that once felt terrifying now felt worth it. A year later, Ethan stood in a different place. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. He wasn't the same person anymore. He was stronger, sharper, alive. And for the first time, he felt in control of his life, not just existing, but living. One evening, he sat by the same window, the same city, the same lights. But everything felt different. Because he was different. His phone buzzed. An email. From his old company. We'd like to offer you a senior position. Ethan smiled, not because he wanted it, but because of what it represented. Validation. Proof that the risk had worked. He closed the email, looked back at the city, and thought about that night. That one decision, that one click. The moment everything changed. Because here's the truth most people don't realize. Life doesn't change slowly. It changes in moments, in decisions, in seconds where you either stay the same or choose something different. And Ethan, he chose. Not perfectly, not fearlessly, but honestly. And that made all the difference. Because sometimes, the decision that scares you the most is the one that changes everything overnight.